Part 68. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 671. Ghost Lord smiled ferociously and flew towards his original body. But at this moment, Cai Dai secretly poked her head out from behind the corpse coffin. Gaizun looked aside, and saw Cai Dai stretching out his chubby little hand, grabbing Gaizun's body, and then smiled at Gaizun. Immediately afterwards, Ghost Lord's body began to fester at a speed visible to the naked eye. Cai Dai actually used her own toxins to cause Ghost Lord's body to rot. The Ghost Lord was shocked and turned pale. He roared at Cai Dai, "Little girl! You are looking for death." Cai Dai made a face at Ghost Lord, then ran toward me with her short legs. "Lusu! He bullied me. Beat him." The corners of my mouth twitched slightly. Is this Lao Lu? I quickly stepped forward, protecting Cai Dai behind me, and looked at Ghost Lord coldly. The Ghost Lord was so angry that he couldn't say a complete sentence for a long time while pointing at Cai Dai. The current Ghost Lord lacks the support of other people's souls, and his strength has dropped significantly. He is no longer as arrogant as he was at the beginning. I picked up the Leiju and approached the Ghost Lord step by step. The Ghost Lord subconsciously retreated. I said coldly to the Ghost Lord, "The situation is over for you now, and you have to pay the price for what you did before." The Ghost Lord kept shaking his head at me and muttering, "There is no way I can lose. There is no way I can lose. There must be a chance to make amends. There must be a chance." Until this moment, the Ghost Lord was still stubborn. I said to him, "You have all your Taoist skills and abilities, but you use them on evil ways." I said, "God will not accept you. I will accept you." Ghost Lord looked at me, the panic in his eyes gradually fading away. "What do you know? Only strength dominates everything in this world. The strong will not pity the weak. So, I want to become stronger. Become stronger at all costs." I shook my head helplessly at Ghost Lord and said, "A truly strong person will not use despicable means like yours to become stronger." The ghost energy around the Ghost Master surged, and he stretched out his ghost claws and rushed toward me. I superimposed the power of Thunder Ju to the 4th level, looked at the Ghost Lord coming towards me, and swatted it out without any hesitation. In an instant, thunder and lightning exploded, bursts of thunder were heard in the sky, and everywhere you looked was filled with white light. The white light dissipated and I regained my sight. The Ghost Lord did not lose his soul, but half knelt in front of me with an illusory figure. I was secretly shocked. The strength of this Ghost Lord was indeed extraordinary. In his spirit state, he was able to withstand my 4th level thunder attack. I summoned the Heart Sword and pointed it at the Ghost Lord. The Ghost Lord slowly raised his head, looked up to the sky and laughed. Ha 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 ha. The Ghost Master's laughter was extremely crazy. He looked at me and said word by word, "Lusu, so what if you kill me? The next few people are not something you can deal with. I know who those people Gaizun is referring to. Those must be other evil spirits in the sky coffin." In fact, the evil spirit behind had already shown his face, and the one who showed up was General Huo. General Huo is so powerful that even now I cannot fight him. The Ghost Lord's spirit body began to dissipate, and bits of starlight merged into the air. "Lusu, I'm giving you a gift before I die. I hope you like it." Ghost Lord said with a ferocious smile. A bad premonition suddenly surged in my heart. My expression condensed, and I raised my sword and stabbed the Ghost Lord. But it was stabbed in the air, and the Ghost Lord completely disappeared into the air. The moment the Ghost Lord disappeared, the entire ascension platform began to tremble violently. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 672. I couldn't help but curse. This Ghost King wants to show off to me even after he dies. Countless ghost Taoist priests rushed to the Shengxian platform and began to launch a fierce attack on me. I grabbed Cai Dai's hand and ran towards the coffin. Now that the Ghost Lord has been eliminated by me, there is no need to stay here anymore. However, King Yu stood in front of me. I looked at it doubtfully and asked, "Thank you for your help. Now I'm leaving here, do you have anything else to do?" Qing Niu came to the golden body of Lao Tzu and mooed at the golden body. "You want me to take the golden body out?" King Niu mooed. I nodded and used the ability of the Nine Eyes Heavenly Domain to transfer the golden body of Lao Zi in front of me. But in just a moment, the ghost Taoist priests had already surrounded him. King Niu turned around, roared at the ghost Taoist priests, and instantly drove them away. I carried my golden body and jumped into the coffin, and the colorful butterfly had returned to my body. The green ox used its two horns to push up the lid of the coffin, and then covered the coffin. Immediately afterwards, the surroundings fell into darkness, and no sound could be heard anymore. I don't know how long it took, but I felt weightless, and then my eyes lit up with red light. After about 5 minutes, the feeling of weightlessness and the red light in front of my eyes disappeared instantly. It seemed that I had left the coffin. I stretched out my hand and slapped the coffin wall. Not long after, the lid of the coffin was opened, and Su Tianxuan's beautiful face came into view. She reached out and pulled me out. When everyone saw that I was fine, they all breathed a long sigh of relief. When they saw the golden body of Lao Tzu in the corpse coffin, they were stunned on the spot. Mr. Ma stepped forward and asked, "Boy, whose golden body is this?" I replied, "It's mine." As soon as these words came out, everyone was stunned on the spot, and then they exclaimed in unison, "It's mine." I nodded and told everyone exactly what happened in the sky coffin. Everyone took a breath after hearing this. Wang Cheng said, "I can't believe that the Ghost Lord is actually an evil spirit generated by me." Not only did he not expect it, Su Tianxian also looked surprised. Ever since I learned the true identity of Ghost Lord, I have always had doubts in my heart. I looked at Su Tianxian and asked, "Master, what is the difference between reincarnation and incarnation?" Su Tianxian lowered his eyes, thought for a while, and replied, "The experience of reincarnation of sentient beings in the six paths do not have the ability to incarnate and can only be reincarnated. After reincarnation, living beings will no longer be in the form of their previous lives, and they may not even have anything to do with their original form. Nor. Incarnation refers to a way for people with special abilities to change their own image and become other people or things for certain purposes." I nodded after listening. Mr. Ma added on the side, "The Supreme Lord will transform into Lao Tzu, and Emperor Zaiwei will transform into Lu Bang, Lu Xiu, and others. In the end, the souls of these people will return to their original bodies." It dawned on me that incarnation is not the same as reincarnation. We didn't go any further on this issue either. I took out the soul locking tower, handed it to Su Tianxian, and said, "Master, all the souls of these people are here. Please let their souls return to their bodies." Su Tianxian nodded and took the soul locking tower. She kneaded the formula with both hands and muttered words. Countless souls flew out from the soul locking tower. Under Su Tianxuan's guidance, these souls successfully entered everyone's bodies. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanba. Chapter 673. But these people did not wake up immediately. I glanced at the coffin and said to Tao Wen, "Tao Wen, take the coffin down the mountain first. I must not let these guys see my golden body. Although I saved their lives, people's hearts are unpredictable. Under the temptation of the golden body, no one can guarantee that they will attack me secretly." Soon, all the people in the square woke up. They looked around blankly, and finally focused on me. Seeing this, Mr. Ma raised a sneer on his lips and said, "A bunch of idiots." Faced with Mr. Ma's rude words, everyone did not refute. No matter how stupid they are, they can still know what just happened. Of course they also know who saved them. One of the old men in Taoist robes came to me, raised his hands to me and said, "Thank you, little friend, for helping me. It was our fault in mission. On behalf of all of us in mission, I apologize to you." After that, he bowed deeply to me. At the same time, all the mission disciples in the square bowed to me. However, other people did not do this. I helped the old man up and said, "There is no need to pay such a big gift. What I did was for those innocent people. I don't need any mercy for these people who want to kill me. But my friends and those innocent tourists are the ones I have to protect with my life." The old man in front of him is the deputy head of mission. Afterwards, the deputy head of mission made a profound confession to me and expressed his gratitude to me for performing the greatest etiquette of mission. And those tourists trapped in the cave also woke up. As for how to explain how they got to the cave, this is not a matter that should be interfered with. We did not leave mission today, but chose to stay in mission for one night to discuss the next things. Su Tianqian and I sat opposite each other, and Su Tianqian looked at me quietly without speaking. Under her gaze, I seemed a little embarrassed, actually a little shy. I asked, "Master, why do you look at me like this?" "I look a little." Su Tianqian raised the corners of his mouth slightly and said, "Xiao Su, you have grown up." I was slightly stunned. What Su Tianqian said about growing up was not that I had grown older. Rather, it refers to my character and the way I conduct myself in the world. I used to be naive and timid, but in these short few months, I have made a qualitative leap as a person. Xiao Su, my golden body is a hot potato here, and it is beyond our reach. Therefore, we should send the golden body to where it belongs. I nodded. My golden body is indeed tricky. If the world knew that it was in my hands, I don't know how much trouble it would cause. "Master, where should we send the golden body?" I asked. Su Tianqian slowly spit out 3 words. "Hang pass." I was slightly startled. Hang pass? I originally thought that Su Tianqian would send the golden body to some Taoist holy land, but I never expected that it would be sent to Hang Pass. There is a legend about the purple energy that spreads for 3,000 miles when I leave Hang Pass in the west, and that's where the golden body will return. I nodded. There is indeed this legend. It is said that after I left Hang Pass, I disappeared. The world said that I had become an immortal. But no one knows what happened to me in Hang Pass. At this moment, there was a knock on the door. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 674. I came to the door and reached out to open the door. When I saw the person coming, the corners of my mouth raised slightly. Zhang Xi, Ruo Heng, Wu 11, Sun Wenqing and others all stood at the door and looked at me with smiles. I quickly invited them in. Wang Cheng put his arms around my neck and said, "Lu Su, I never thought you could actually defeat the Ghost Lord. But you are still a little worse than me." I rolled my eyes at Wang Cheng's teasing. Wu 11 also came up and shouted in his broken voice, "You are so unreasonable. Why didn't you call me if something happened? If Ruo Heng hadn't told me, I wouldn't have known you had gone through so much. What's going on?" I smiled at Wu 11 and said, "I'm not afraid of troublesome you." Wu 11 slapped me on the shoulder and said, "You treat me like an outsider." Ruo Heng couldn't help but complained, "I asked you to come here? What can you do? Isn't it just shouting about your broken voice?" Wu 11 stretched out her finger and pointed at Ruo Heng, but couldn't say a word for a long time. Afterwards, a few of us sat in the room and chatted. Su Tianqian returned to his room. While chatting, Wang Cheng said, there's no point in chatting. We might as well go get some drinks, that's the fun. Everyone nodded in agreement after hearing this. Afterwards, a few of us drank wine and chatted in the yard. I never thought I would be as relaxed as I am today. Invisibly, I have made so many good friends. Isn't this a good thing? Sun Wenchange was a bit unsociable, just sitting on the side silently. In the end, it was me who invited him to get involved with us. At this moment, a chubby little hand stretched out from under the table. I grabbed it and lifted Nobby out from under the table. What are you doing? What are you doing? I just want to taste what this tastes like. Nobby pointed to the beer on the table and said. I laughed and said, children are not allowed to drink. Kadi curled her lips and said disdainfully, I'm older than what you are doing. Everyone laughed after hearing this. At this time, Yu-chan came to Cai Dai and squatted down. Cai Dai looked at Yu-chan and said, I recognize you. Yu-chan smiled slightly and said softly, of course you know me. At this time, I suddenly heard about Miao Zhang, and I asked, how is Granny Miao doing now? Yu-chan was startled for a moment, looking a little lonely, and replied, something happened in Miao Zhang, and my mother-in-law is dealing with it. I wanted to ask more, but when I saw the expression on Yu-chan's face, I didn't ask any more. If Granny Miao comes to my place usefully, just say so. Yu-chan nodded. After 3 rounds of drinking, everyone was a little drunk. I can only be considered a moderate drinker, and now that I have drunk so much, my brain is a little confused. At this moment, a cold voice sounded in my ears. Stop drinking. I looked back and saw Su Tianqian standing in the moonlight, looking at me quietly. Okay, I won't drink anymore. After saying that, he stood up and went back to the room to sleep, but because he drank too much wine, he couldn't stand firmly and his body fell to one side. Su Tianqian quickly grabbed me with quick eyes and hands, and finally helped me to the room. I felt my stomach churning, and I vomited it out without holding it back. I happened to vomit on Su Tianqian, and even my body was full of filth. Su Tianqian didn't show any disdain. She gently placed me on the bed. At this time, my consciousness was a little blurry. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 675. Drowsily, I heard slight footsteps. Immediately afterwards, I felt my shirt being taken off, and then I felt a chill coming from my chest. I opened my eyes and vaguely saw Su Tianqian holding a towel and gently wiping my body. After seeing it was Su Tianqian, I fell into a deep sleep. The next morning, I opened my eyes and rubbed my swollen head. It seemed that I really couldn't drink so much next time. Woke up. Su Tianxian's voice rang in my ears. I followed the sound and saw Su Tianqian, dressed in white, sitting quietly at the table. I nodded, with some doubts in my mind. Could it be that I just saw Master guarding me here all night? Now that you're awake, clean up and we'll leave here later. Good. After a while, I appeared in the yard fully dressed. In the courtyard, Wang Cheng and others waited for a long time. You kid can't do it either. You'll lose consciousness after drinking so much. I smiled awkwardly. Then we left mission under the welcome of the mission disciples. Wang Cheng and others parted ways with us. Wang Cheng and Tao Wen are going back to bury their master. Zhang Xiai and others also left one after another. Before leaving, they told me that if I needed their help, just ask. I also agreed one by one. Hua Xiu seemed a little lethargic at this time, almost falling asleep several times just standing. It seemed that this trip to mission had taken too much of a toll on her. Under my persuasion, Hua Xiu, Wang Cheng, and others returned to Tianfu City. Zhong Zhengling stood in front of me and looked at me kindly. Xiao Su, when you grow up, Grandpa Zhong can only help you so much. I looked at Zhong Jingling's white hair and asked with some worry, Grandpa Zhong, where are you going next? Zhong Zhengling raised the corners of his mouth slightly and said with a smile, do what I should do. After saying that, Zhong Zhengling turned around and waved to me and said, Xiao Su, I hope this is not the last time we meet. Looking at Zhong Jingling's retreating back, I shouted, Grandpa Zhong. Otherwise, you can go to Ji Yuntang. I will provide for you in the future. Zhong Zhengling paused, and all he responded to me was his hearty laughter. My heart was filled with complicated emotions. I looked at Su Tianxian and asked, Master, does Grandpa Zhong have a long lifespan? Su Tianxian nodded and said, his life is short. I think he wants to use the remaining days of his life to continue to fulfill his duty of slaying demons. For a moment, I didn't know what to say. Come to think of it, Grandpa must have been like this more than 10 years ago. Yu Chan asked me to take good care of the colorful butterflies, and then left for Miao territory. From what I could tell, she was very anxious, thinking that something terrible must have happened in Miaojiang. However, my current goal is to send the golden body of Lao Zi to Hang Pass. In this way, Su Tianxian and I embarked on the journey to Hang Pass. Of course, Su Tianxian and I were not the only ones on this trip, there were also Xiao He and Cai Dai. It is far away from Hang Pass, so I could only find a funeral parlor and hire a hearse to go to Hang Pass. As the hearse was on its way, I suddenly thought about Ziwei Zhenyuan, so I asked Su Tianxian. Su Tianxian was slightly startled when he heard the 4 words Ziwei Zhenyuan, and then said to himself, has it reached this point? I was full of doubts and asked, Master, what has come to this? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 676. Su Tianxian glanced at me lightly and said, it's better that you don't know about this matter. The corner of my mouth twitched slightly, it was this rhetoric again. Since Su Tianxian refuses to tell me, I will have to explore alone in the future. In order to reach Hang Pass as soon as possible, the hearse driver chose to take the highway. Hearses can drive on highways, as long as the vehicle and driver meet the requirements for highway driving. It just so happened that this driver had more than 10 years of driving experience and had been driving a hearse for 7 or 8 years. The hearse went onto the highway, and the surrounding vehicles avoided it. Soon, night falls. Since the hearse was running low on gas, the driver drove the hearse into the service area, intending to fill up the tank and take a short rest before continuing on the road. After the hearse was filled with gas, it stopped in the service area. Su Tianxian and I got out of the car and planned to have something to eat in the service area. After all, we haven't eaten anything since morning. The service area in front of me is extremely simple compared to other service areas. The walls of the houses on both sides are mottled, the walls have fallen off, and the walls are uneven. The lights in the house are dim and ghostly. There is only one store in the service area, and the lights in the restaurant have long been turned off. I bought 2 buckets of instant noodles, soaked them and brought them to Su Tianxian. Master, just make do with it. Su Tianxian glanced at the instant noodles indifferently, and suddenly said, when will you cook for me again? I was slightly stunned and said with a smile, when we return to Ji Yuntang, I will cook a large table of delicious food for you, master. At this moment, Xiao He landed on my shoulder and said, I'm hungry. I want to eat too. I rolled my eyes and said, I'm so spoiled by your bad habits. Find something to eat by yourself. Xiao He looked around, then lowered his voice and said, I feel something weird here. I was stunned for a moment and asked, why is it so weird? Xiao He said, I just went around and found that there was no one around at all, and what? Besides, There is heavy fog everywhere except here. I'm afraid I won't be able to find my way back after I leave here. Heavy fog? I stood up and looked around, but saw no fog. If it were before, I would definitely have dismissed Xiao Hei's words, but after experiencing so many things, I am somewhat wary of this aspect of things. It seems that I can't stay here for long. At this moment, I suddenly felt anxious. I put down the instant noodles in my hand and went to the toilet in the service area. After leaving the toilet, I found that Su Tianqian and Xiao Hei were missing. I instantly became alert. Suddenly, a light came on and the bus slowly drove into the service area. The bus pulled over and all kinds of passengers got off. I watched these passengers closely and didn't find anything wrong. These passengers enter the store in the service area and start buying something. A few also went to the toilet. The bus driver drove the bus to a gas station and got out of the bus to refuel. I sat back down to my original position. This location is just outside the store, and the boss has placed several small tables outside for passengers to rest and eat. Just when I was thinking about where Su Tianqian and Xiao Hei went, a person's scream suddenly sounded. My heart tightened and I looked in the direction of the sound. The direction the sound came from was the store. I hurried to the store, but all the passengers who had just entered the store to make purchases were gone. The boss was sitting in front of the counter, staring at the cash register, his face ashen, as if he had seen something terrible. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 677. I just wanted to step forward and ask what happened. But he saw the store owner huddled under the counter as if he had seen a ghost. I came to the counter and looked at the open cash register. It didn't matter. Suddenly, a chill rushed from the soles of my feet to Tianling Gai. I saw a few $100 bills placed in the cash register. But the words Heaven and Earth Bank are printed on the 100 yuan bill. This is a ghost coin. The store owner huddled under the counter, shivering, and kept mumbling something. I walked into the counter and pulled the store owner out. The store owner struggled desperately and shouted, "Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. I've done my honest duty and haven't done anything wrong." I frowned and said, "I'm a human. Not a ghost." The store owner was slightly startled and looked at me secretly through his fingertips. I didn't bother to talk nonsense with him, so I put his hand on my chest and said, "Do ghosts have a heartbeat?" The boss let out a long sigh and sat down on the ground. "Scared me?" I asked what had just happened. The boss looked frightened and said, Just now a large group of people came to buy things. I thought it was nothing at first, but they actually gave me money." I nodded. It seemed that this matter was exactly what I thought. I said to the boss, "You stay here, close the door, and don't open the door no matter what sound you hear." The boss nodded repeatedly. I walked out of the store and looked around the huge service area. The bus that had just been refueled had already parked in the parking lot. The pale moonlight poured down, illuminating the entire service area, but even so, I still felt that the place was very ghostly. At this time, I suddenly noticed that the moonlight was reflecting on the field in front of the gas station. I was stunned for a moment and came to the gas station. I saw a large puddle of water appearing on the ground that had just reflected the moonlight. I squatted down and was about to reach out my hand, but I smelled a pungent smell of gasoline. This is not water, but gasoline. I stood up and looked at the bus in the parking lot. If my guess is correct, the gasoline should have been exposed when the bus was refueling just now. In other words, that bus is not a real bus. It's probably a paper car. I walked closer to the bus. The bus was very old and the windows had varying degrees of damage. Through the window, the bus was empty. And I also found that the bus body was wet, as if it had just been fished out of the water. I looked serious. This is impossible. I just saw those passengers getting off the bus, then getting back on after shopping. Even if it is a fierce ghost, there should be some traces, right? Just when I wanted to leave here and look for Su Tianxian, I suddenly noticed a figure appearing in the car out of the corner of my eye. I was slightly startled, and when I looked carefully, I saw that the figure was somewhat similar to Su Tianxian. I hesitated and chose to get in the car and take a look. I opened the car door and a cold wind blew in my face. I stepped up and walked up. There was a pattering sound under my feet, as if I was walking in a muddy puddle. It was so dark inside the car that only the outline of the seats could be seen. I looked at that figure and tentatively called, "Master." The figure didn't answer me. I frowned and already held Lei Ju in my right hand. At this moment, the car door behind him closed by itself. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 678. In an instant, the entire carriage became extremely dark. I turned around to look at the woman, only to find that she had disappeared from nowhere. In addition, the entire carriage was filled with passengers the moment the door was closed. These passengers' skin was pale, their faces were ashen, and their eyes were staring straight ahead. I frowned. It seemed like I was being tricked by these evil spirits. However, I was prepared for this situation long before I got in the car. Because if I don't get in the car, I won't be able to meet Su Tianxian. Sudden. All the passengers stiffly turned their heads and stared at me with a pair of deathly gray eyes. The bodies of these passengers were covered with water stains, and drips dripped onto the board of the car, as if they had just been fished out of the water. At this moment, a sinister laughter sounded. The sound is everywhere, as if it is exploding from your ears, making your scalp numb and the hair on your hair standing on end. Finally I found you. This voice is somewhat familiar to me, as if I have heard it somewhere. Before I could think about it carefully, there was a roaring sound in my ears. Immediately afterwards, the bus started and headed outside the service area. Then, a figure slowly walked out from behind the car. When I saw clearly what that person looked like, I was stunned on the spot. It turned out to be the green shooting ghost. When I was in Yin Yang Ghost Town, I once eliminated a green shooting ghost with the help of Su Tianxian. At that time, Su Tianxian told me that the green ghost would not be eliminated so easily and would definitely come to haunt me in the future. Unexpectedly, it came. The green ghost is still dressed as before, wearing a blood-red dress, with pale skin and delicate face. The revenge of that day. I will avenge it today. The yin energy around the green ghost's body surged, and the powerful yin energy directly shattered the car window. At the same time, the ghost passengers in the carriage slowly stood up and attacked me. My face hardened, I squeezed my hands, and blue lightning burst out from my palms. I raised my thunderbolt and blasted at the ghost passengers around me. In an instant, thunder and lightning exploded, and the ghost passengers instantly turned into ashes. The green ghost was stunned for a moment, then licked her scarlet lips and said coldly, "I didn't expect your strength to grow so fast." As soon as he finished speaking, the kingui disappeared instantly. Immediately afterwards, I felt the wind whistling behind me. I turned around suddenly and saw the green ghost stretching out its pale ghost hand and stabbing me in the chest. I stepped back continuously, raised my left hand, and activated the pure lotus mark on my palm. The yin qi that permeated the green ghost's body, when it touched the white light in front of me, instantly turned into countless white lotuses that floated around. I opened the nine eyes heaven realm, and the crimson fire of karma appeared out of thin air and swallowed up the green ghost in an instant. The green ghost's face did not change, and he allowed the fire of karma to burn on his body. I distanced myself from Qing Kingui and asked coldly, "Tell me. Who asked you to come? It's impossible for the green ghost to find me for no reason. Someone must have revealed the information to her. Moreover, I speculate that this person must be trying to get my golden body." The kingui looked at me with a face full of jest and said, It might as well be Zhao Mian who told you. He revealed your location to me and then asked me to come and kill you. Zhao Mian. I didn't expect it to be this guy. No wonder I said I didn't see him during this trip to the sky coffin. It turned out he was waiting for me here. It seems that Zhao Mian's goal this time is my golden body. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 679. In other words, during the course of our conversation, the bus had already left the service area. If we say that Zhao Mian's goal is Lao Tzu's golden body, then he must be in the service area now. However, Su Tianqian disappeared. Based on my understanding of my master, she must have noticed something and dealt with it alone. No matter what, I still have to deal with the green ghost as soon as possible and leave here as soon as possible. Thinking of this, I no longer hesitated, summoned the heart sword and fought with the green ghost. The green ghost is more powerful than I imagined. It has even surpassed the Ghost King level. If I were fighting alone, I would have a good chance of winning, but the ghost passengers around me kept distracting me. I summoned the Ghost Sea, and the Dark Sea instantly spread to the entire carriage. Yin soldiers emerged from the Ghost Sea with weapons in hand and fought with these ghost passengers. The strength of Yin soldiers is higher than that of ghost passengers. After all, these ghost passengers only belong to the category of lonely ghosts. With a thought, I summoned the heavenly secret, and the 5 elements talisman surrounded me. My face condensed, and I pointed my sword to capture the green ghost. The 5 element talisman emits a dazzling light, shrouding the green ghost within it. The corner of the green ghost's mouth raised a sneer and said, "It's a small trick." As soon as she finished speaking, endless vines spread out from the wooden rune, binding it tightly. Then, the earth talisman and the fire talisman were superimposed on each other, and then, rocks mixed with fire fell from the sky, hitting Qing Qinggui's body solidly. I stared closely at the green ghost in the 5 elements array. These attacks must have been painless to her. It may take some time to completely eliminate it. Moreover, I can't wait that long now. I must find a way to subdue the green ghost. I escaped from my pocket and took out the evil suppressing seal, silently reciting the spell in my mind to activate the evil suppressing seal. The golden inscriptions spread out from the bottom of the evil suppressing seal and headed straight towards the green ghost. In less than a moment, the green ghost was imprisoned by the golden inscriptions and unable to move. The green ghost looked at me coldly and said word by word, "You can only trap me for a moment. You can't trap me for the rest of my life. Once I break free, I will definitely kill you." The green ghost's resentment towards me has reached its extreme. If I weren't bound by the golden inscriptions now, I'm afraid she would have come up and tore me into pieces. Yet, I took out the ghost sealing scroll from my backpack. Ever since I came back from mission, I put the ghost seal into my backpack, but I never took it off during this journey. There is absolutely no need to fight to the death with the green ghost now. Temporarily sealing it is the best option. I slowly unfolded the ghost sealing scroll, then bit my finger and smeared blood on the ghost sealing scroll. Then, I made the formula with both hands and muttered something in my mouth. Su Tianqian has already told me how to use the ghost sealing scroll. All you need to do is use blood as a guide and recite Fa Ju to use it. The ghost sealing scroll rose into the air and floated slowly towards the blue ghost. Because of the suppression of the evil suppressing seal, the green shooting ghost is not easy to break free. The ghost sealing scroll slowly approached the ghost seal, and then came into contact with it. When the ghost seal's body touched the ghost seal, it turned into ink and stained the ghost seal. The green ghost's expression changed slightly, and he began to struggle desperately. One after another, the powerful yin qi turned the entire carriage upside down. I saw a green shooting ghost about to break away from the shackles of the golden inscriptions. I flashed and disappeared in an instant. When I reappeared, I was already behind green shooting ghost. I held the thunder dew in my hand and struck fiercely at green shooting ghost. The blast passed. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 680. The ghost-shooting clone had no skills and was hit hard by my thunderbolt. She staggered and her whole body was submerged in the ghost sealing scroll. The ghost sealing scroll closed instantly, and I reached out to hold it in my hand. Just when I wanted to take a long breath of relief, the ghost seal scroll suddenly started shaking violently. I paused for a moment and looked at the ghost sealing scroll in my hand, only to see that the ghost sealing scroll was slowly unfolding. I was secretly shocked. Is the power of this green ghost so powerful? Even the ghost sealing scroll cannot successfully seal it. If the green ghost is allowed to escape, the consequences will be disastrous. I quickly escaped from the soul locking tower and put the ghost sealing scroll into it. At the moment when Fengui was involved in the tower, it completely unfolded. The green ghost came out of it. I looked at the Ching Ching ghost in the soul locking tower with an extremely serious expression. The green ghost looked at me with a cold expression, and then she began to attack the seal of the soul locking tower. The palm-sized soul locking tower shook violently in my palm, and the wood even cracked slightly. I picked up the sword technique and pointed it at the soul locking tower, then shouted loudly, and earth-shaking changes began to occur inside the soul locking tower. As the mechanism in the soul locking tower operates, the Ching Ching ghost inside is in danger. If she wants to break free from the shackles of the soul locking tower, she must solve these mechanisms. The soul locking tower is a treasure of Lubin's lineage, and each floor has thousands of changes. It is impossible for the green ghost to break free from the soul locking tower in a short period of time. I said that the soul locking tower was put away and I looked around. I saw that all the ghost passengers had been wiped out by the Yin soldiers. I looked out the window and saw that the car was still moving and going very fast. I quickly came to the driver's seat and wanted to stop the car, but no matter what I did, the bus showed no intention of stopping. At this moment, the bus made a sharp turn, and a fault appeared on the road in front of it. Looking carefully, it turned out that the overpass collapsed. There is an abyss under the bridge. If you don't jump out of the car as soon as possible, you may end up with a car crash and death. I unfolded the Nine Eyes Heaven Realm and expanded the scope of the Nine Eyes Heaven Realm to outside the bus. With a thought, I directly used the power of Joshin Tianyu to get out of the predicament. As soon as I regained my footing, there was a loud rumbling sound in my ears. I followed the sound and saw the bus rushing straight off the broken bridge and plunging straight into the river. I breathed a long sigh of relief, came to the broken bridge and looked down. The pale moonlight shines impartially under the bridge. The scene under the bridge deeply hurt my eyes. In the submersible river, half of the front of a shattered bus was exposed, with countless bodies floating around. Seeing this scene, I knew everything. The bus just now was a hearse and it should have crashed not long ago. I turned around and looked at the way I came. I don't know how far away I am from the service area. I don't even know where I am now. Looking at the scene around me, I guess I've already gotten off the highway. I can only go back the way I came. But not long after walking, a dazzling light suddenly appeared at the intersection ahead. I subconsciously reached out to block it. The light got closer and closer, and a car stopped in front of me. I took a closer look and it turned out to be our hearse. I looked overjoyed, and then the car door opened and Su Tianxian said to me, "Get in the car." I nodded and quickly got in the car. When I got on the bus and saw the coffin in the back, the stone hanging in my heart slowly fell. Fortunately, the golden body was not taken away. I looked at Su Tianxian and found that her face was extremely serious. I asked, "Master, what happened just now?"